Sivele bumbene insimbi yesithupha lomhla ekuseni ngolomuhla sikuvusele sikwamukele ehlelweni Kusile Breakfast Show. Libito lami nguSifiso Nganquma lohamba nemfombeni. Sikwamukela nje ehlelweni nalomuhla sikuphathele letimnanzi letishisako naleto ke letita kufundzisa kabanti ngenhluthuko lapha eveni mfombeni. Very good morning to you. Another cold day.
Yeah, good morning to you, Tunguni. I'm well. Grateful to be alive, and good morning to our viewers as well. Temperatures seem to be low again. Highest temperature at 21, and in some parts of the country, good morning and welcome. You can watch us on YouTube as well. Ganjalo TSTV, good channel 286. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to sort of see you in December. December. It's the festive season. To celebrate time holiday. So see the cybercrime. Namhla ekseni in Nicholas Jele, Longu head of department yaga fraud mapoiseni. Jobanjuta kumlaga guti enyang pelile begungi cyber awareness month. Lapokona mapoisa ganyene tinklangothi titsintsekako betihambisa lwati nje ngabo lobucala lobendekako so labayiveta kinzaba emaphoyisa ukuthi live leSwatini vele lilahlekelwa tigiti netigiti tamalangeni ngabo lobucala lobendeka nje kakhulukati kuma online investments kana letinye ke edigigaba sitha besinaye nje babetshele ukuva ukuthi engabe what are the latest trends kulamalanga ngoba solo amaphoyisa bakhala ngokuthi bathola imibiko ukuthi kunebantu labashayela labanye babaluthe ngokuthi kunetimali letingena mobile money kunetimali letihamba kanjani ngakho-ke ukuxwayisa nje sive samaswati ukuthi sicaphele letinswela boya leti nje ekakhulukati nje letikhathi leti takhisimusi letiphizitela kusabe sinaye nje lomuhla nga6:30 ukuva ukuthi ingabe yini vele levamile kulamalanga lekumele amaswati ukuthi ayicaphele.
Kanti ke njengoba uthinzayo namfombeni ndzaba ukuthi kunengi lokwentekako kulenyanga December. Only 7 days into the new month, but a lot has happened. Nasibuka nje lokunye lokwentekako lesingasho ukuthi cishe kungidzaba mlonyeni. Sibonile itolo in what was a very nerve-wracking yet exciting election process of regional women MPs as mandated by the Constitution. Sibonile ukuthi lo msebenzi uqhubekile. The 4 women members of parliament have finally been elected and they joined the House as the 12th Parliament. Now, this took place along in Laitolo in the House of Assembly, where the 20 women who were nominated got to know their fate. It was a very interesting election process. Lesibonile ukuthi sekugcina sebavele sebavela labo labane la sebabese bayaphumelela siyayikhulumisa kabanti ke lenzaba lena ngoba kungathi lesikutfola ukuthi all these 4 faces are new faces kanti ke they were in it in the battle or in the race with the faces lebeseswati in legislature nakhona ke eparliament kanti ke siyafuna ukukhulumisa lenye lekungathi shisa mbamba ke lebese ilinyeva kakhulu eveni la kangwane indzaba yekushoda ke kwemaphilisi edibhedlela sibonile esukwini la itolo mabhalane lomkhulu walo litiko letempilo khanya mabuza addressed the health crisis subcommittee on the ongoing health crisis in the country kanti ke le subcommittee lefaka ekhathi chairperson wayo lokungu Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade Ngoba Khumalo, who in the subcommittee works with other ministers, cabinet ministers Lafayekati Bophila Telezi, as well as Finance Minister Neil Reichenberg. They have initiated this exercise. Labatige, they will visit the CMS warehouse in Matapa just to get a feel of the prevailing situation so that it could take an informed decision going forward. Basazama kupunga yona indzaba kwekuthi sifa kuphi vele nokuthi lenzaba ingalungiseka kanjani. Shocking discoveries were made along in Laitolo. Nema recommendations now lamakhulu kakhulu were made by the subcommittee chair Ngoba Khumalo. We want to discuss some of these developments with LinkedIn Gule, who is going to join me at 7:30 lomuhla ekseni, and perhaps if time will allow just to look at the COP28 climate change summit where world leaders again ahlangene khona kubuketa indzaba tekuguquguquka kwesimo selitulu ngisathele emsakato LinkedIn Gule bekayile khona United Arab Emirates kuyawulandzela ukuthi njengoba ndvunankulu welive laselimiso Dlamini nanaye bekajoinile ma world leaders lapha. What are some of the developments that are happening, because we do understand COP28, yes, we may have been back lapha kangwane thina nandvunankulu wethu, but it is a 2-week event. More developments are happening. Sibonile nje ukuthi ilanga la itolo Just Energy took center stage. Siyafuna kuva ukuthi itempilo nanato kungathi titawuthatha center stage lomuhla as we enter the 7th day. You know, the feel that LinkedIn got while he was still in the United Arab Emirates and how Eswatini is going to co-opt some of the strategies that are being discussed there. All of that we'll discuss 7:30 this morning.
Asibuke emaphephandaba lahamba embili namhla ekseni. Asiqale sibuke i-Times of Eswatini sibuka lethamba embili. Kuleto leti hamba embili, new faces win for racial women MP seats. Ulabake labane bomake laba winile labatawumelela tifundza dotine lapha eveni. Kanti nasibuka tetempilo, health crisis subcommittee told how government failure to pay 85,000 emalangeni led to drugs shortage. Money was for servicing fleet management system, including CCTV cameras and tracking devices. More on page 2. Kuletinye thamba embili, relief as diesel price drops and petrol is unchanged. Kulenye ile hamba embili, Swazi farm withdraws a 52 million emalangeni claim after government demands proof.
On the back end of the Times of Eswatini this Thursday morning are the leading headlines. Kutemidlalo kulehamba embili ke kutotonke says following venue change, Wesleyan's petition PLE. Manzini Wanderers CEO Diana Gurley Johnson has confirmed the complaint over the venue change. Maroon and white outfit against the decision to host Ilovo in Mbabane. You can get the full story still on that same very page. Bulls boss calls for a fair refereeing in Derby. Siyabona ukuthi kutaba kuma past league meetings kube kunatikola sebativetile lapha but nje lokumcwaka kakhulu. Mbabane Highlanders MD Chief Ali Khomongwe has asked for fair refereeing kule Derby clash letaba khona. Sundowns make it perfect 10.
Asibuka Eswatini Observer kuleti hamba embili, regional women MPs elections. Ex-minister trustee Gina out. Total number of women MPs is now 29. Lubombo Shiselweni elections closely contested and Ho MP elects former MP's daughter. Kuleti hamba embili, kutempilo drugs shortage, ministers tour the central medical stores. Kanti kuletinye diesel price drops and petrol unchanged. Kuleti hamba embili, inhlangano UNFPA ithi approach GBV like HIV.
Temidlalo Eswatini Observer lomuhla ekseni kungulesine legijima embili. No more Momo Cup. MTN confirms withdrawing its sponsorship. It's a very interesting story there. Mula Sport boosts ESRC with 50,000 Malangeni sponsorship. First come, first serve as 5,000 tickets for Derby.
Asibuka Eswatini Daily News nayo ilije ngendzaba yema-regional women MPs labane. Kuletinye thamba embili, anger not an excuse to kill church bodies. Ngekusho kwa Bishop Samson Hlatshwako. Kuletinye thamba embili, the central medical stores owes 33 million emalangeni to 12 suppliers.
Kutemidlalo kweSwatini Daily News, we are ready for birds. Kushoke Ali Flamboyant, Mbabane Highlanders Managing Director Chief Ali Khomongwe declares war on arch rivals Mbabane Swallows ahead of Sunday's big Mbabane derby at Mavuso Sports Center. On another one, the greatest football player to ever live, who is still alive by the way and still playing, Mercy, has been named Times Athlete of the Year. And CAF African School Champs, a test for TDS progress.
Yeah, all right. It's 9 minutes after 6. Let's take a break. Sibuye and Dinzaba Swati.
Umsakato wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eveni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba tenteya ngaleso sikhatsi tindzaba letide magama laqosheme letitsembekile letitsintsa tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni.
Kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo, netemhlaba wonke jikelele. Siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhathi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulo msakato siphindze sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letiqhamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakato wetitfombe iEswatini TV.
Ngolomuhle asiphindze sikwamukele ehlelweni sibuke nathi tindzaba. Inkhosikati make lamathebula lesibonza senhlangano yetelucwaningo luhlangothini lwetemfundvo eEswatini Education Research Association. Itsike umhlangano lobanjwe ngelenhlangano ngekubambisana nenhlangano yeEswatini Higher Education Council awuphumeke nelicwaningo lolutawuletsa tingucuko eluhlangothini lwetemfundvo lutfutfukise nelive lonke. Inkhosikati ikhulume ngesikhatsi ivula lo mhlangano wemalanga lamatsatfu esibayeni Logic Matsapa kanti-ke inkhosikati beyimelelwe ngumvane Nkhosi Tsandzile.
Kulo mhlangano bacwaningi betawukhulumisana bashiyela nelugwayi ngalokungentiwa kude kuqiniswa telucwaningo elihlangothini lwetemfundo kude kutholakale emasu lahlahlelwe eqatulula tinsaya lelibhekene nato live etinhlangothini letiphatselene nentuthuko nenhlalakahle yesive. Ngesikhathi umhlaba uphelele esibayeni isive sendlulisa kungenetiseki kwaso ngelizinga luthintho nelikusasa lwetemfundo yakuleli lenoma live libe nengicubekela phambili kulolu hlangothi lwetemfundo usebanti nokomsebenzi wokulithuthukisa kude libambe lizinga le-21st century kanzi licwaningo lolushiqilelwa kusukela kubafundzi etikolweni ngilenye yetindlela tekukufeza lokhu. Ivula lo mhlangano inkhosikati kusate bacwaningi netinjulabucobo letikungenele kutsi kwentiwe ube lithuba lekuvunulisa live kude uthi uma uphela kusuka lithuli sekwakhiwa imigomo nemisha nalehlolisisiwe yekuphakamisa live.
May we further challenge the researchers to remember that several of the concerns that Emaswati raised at Sibaya recently were directly linked to education. May those be our problem statements for stimulating research to equip the ministry to develop the relevant policies. You carry a heavy but hopeful duty to inform and impact the full, well-rounded academic journey guaranteed to coming generations in our national constitution. We wish you constructive dialogue, yielding insights to our policy organs so that they can act upon them. Most of all, we wish you courage and commitment as we transform education together.
Lo engamele inhlangano yeSwatini Research Educational Association Dr. Alfred Tsikati uthi tesiqubulo salo mhlangano sivula lithuba lekuthola sisombululo etindzabeni letifake ekhatsi ukuthi insha ingatholi imisebenzi ngemva kwekuphothula enyuvesi.
The transformation of education for the emerging context directly relates to the need to address issues such as graduate unemployment, challenges faced by the 21st century learner, fourth industrial revolutions, among others.
Lesekela lemphathi wenyuvesi yakuleli Professor Justice Twala litsite bacwaningi banensaya lenkhulu yekudla emathambo engqondo ngalokujulile bente licwaningo loluthile ungavulula tinsaya ligcine seluphuma netimphendvulo letiphathekako.
As educators, scholars and researchers, it is our shared responsibility to engage in innovative and rigorous research that not only identifies problems, but also generates effective solutions. Sharing knowledge derived from research catalyzes positive change in the educational landscape.
Kulo mhlangano bethweswe tindondo labafaka isandla ekuthuthukeni kwelihlangothi lwetemfundo kanti laba kube nguProfessor Musa Dube, Makhosazana Madondo, Dr. Bongile Putswa na Dr. Edmund Mazibuko. Lo mhlangano utawuvalwa ngalesihlanu kanti ungenelwe nabacwaningi bangephandle. Lobika kwethu Indzabeni ngisandile Makhanya kumathapha.
Liphini ilandvunankulu Thulisile Dladla lingenele umcimbi wekugujwa kwelusuku lwebantfu labakhubatekile emavuso Trade and Exhibition kaManzini ngaphansi kwesicubulo lesithi sibambisene sitawufeza emagole akamhlaba entfutfuko lakhonsako. Kanti kulo mcimbi tinhlangano tonke tebantfu labakhubatekile kanye-ke netinini telive letisebenzisana nelihhovisi leliphini ilandvunankulu bachazeke ngensaya letibhekene nelive tindzabeni tebantfu labakhubatekile kanye-ke netintfo live leselikhonile kutenda kutfutfukisa impilo yebantfu labakhubatekile.
Balinganiselwa ngetulu kwetinkulungwane letilikhulu bantfu labakhubatekile kule live laseSwatini. Kanti-ke ingcenye yebantfu labangetulu kwetinkulungwane letisikhombisa bantfu labanelibala. Lo mhla-ke live laseSwatini libambe umcimbi wekugubha lisuku lwebantfu labakhubatekile emhlabeni lapha emavuso Trade and Exhibition Center. Umengameli wenhlangano yebantfu labakhubatekile Bongane Magama uceleke uhulumende ukuthi awushicilele umgomo waka-African Union lonake-ke indzaba tebantfu labakhubatekile i-African Union Disability Protocol.
Lemithetho lekhona lesekela kuphila kwebantu labakhubatekile itakuthi isetshenzwa kwasiyami Deputy Prime Minister ikhone uletha kuthinza naba bantu labalemakhaya kuma communities.
Ilunga leParliament lenkundla yasehukweni umhlonishwa Alec Lushaba uthembisile ukuthi bayiParliament batalibambisa lehhovisi leliphini landvunankulu.
Liphini landvunankulu liyothi licela indlu ukuthi manje kushayo imithetho leqinile siyombambisa singemalungu eParliament.
Libe katsamelele umphathi wetinhlangano takamhlabuhlangene kuleli Margaret Twala uchazile ukuthi live laseSwatini sekuningi leselikwendile.
Live laKaNgwane likhonile nalo ukulipota ekamhlabuhlangene ukuthi kuhle kanjani ngale CRPD.
Liphini landvunankulu Thulisile Dladla liyithinsile indzaba yelulwimi lwetandla kanye nekuqashwa kwalabakhubatekile kuhulumende.
Minister waka Education akasensitizwe ati kwekuthi i-curriculum center ema-tertiary institution ka-health lapho kufunzelwa khona bunesi lapho kufunzelwa khona budokotela ayisabisasala phela ngaphandle i-sign language.
Iyevakala-ke indzaba yelulwimi lwetandla ukuthi nanayo sale isetshenzwa ingene kumthethosisekelo ukuthi kube lulwimi lolusemthethweni. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV ngingilingithini Gule ngamanzini.
Indvuna ilitiko letasekhaya umfana Kusile indiwe ithi ilitiko layo litawukwenta tonke taba tekwesekela imetamo yekucedza kuhlukubetana ngetebulili kuleli. Indvuna beyikhuluma ngesikhatsi tinhlangano tebafundisi kuleli titekutewuvusela indvuna njengoba-ke isandza kubuya ehhovisini lapho khona bafundisi bafike bavakalisa kukhatsateka kwabo ngendlela lelikhula ngayo lizinga lekuhlukubetana ngetebulili lapha eveni.
Njengoba elikhula ngelizinga lelisetulu linani lebantfu labahlukumetwako kuleli kulesinye isikhathi bagcine basishiyile emhlabeni ikakhulu bomake indvuna yelitiko letasekhaya ithi litiko litawudlala indzima yalo kulwa nekuhlukubeteka ngetebulili.
Kunemadimoni lento yalokubulala labantu lesehlele eveni lasathinga abafundisi ukuthi vele sale bawukhuta ngemthandazo sekufuna ukukhutwa ngemthandazo lokho losekwehle eveni. Siyabonga nje ukuthi bafundisi bakukhutile lokho. Nemithetho lebesolo sithembisana yona bese sicale siyisebenta ethemini lephelile. Awuvele sesitawuvele sikheleti kwayo nyalo. Sesitawugijima vele sisebente bafundisi sigcine kwendekile vele.
Bafundisi betinhlangano letahlukene bayawekhuta umkhuba wekuhlukubetana.
Uma ngabe seniyehlukana hlukanani kahle yebo iBhayibheli alisho magongo ukuthi lanishadile lehlukana kodwa sesikhathi manje kuthi lengabe vele akulungu.
Live laNkulunkulu lisifundisa lona ukuthi uNkulunkulu oluthando lokusho ukuthi ke uma ngabe ke ngithi ngiyamthanza umuntu into loyithanzako awuyi abuse.
Umuntu omthanza kuyamvikela nje ukuthi sengathi into ngeti yamonakalela. Ngiyeke nje mhlambe ngisho nesebandleni lokuthi nabe kuphumulela wakini noma ngumakhelwane noma ngumlingani bonga.
Bafundisi betinhlangothi temabandla lehlukene bathi bayachubeka nekufundzisa emabandleni ngetindlela tekugwema kuhlukubetana. Bathi tonke tinhlangothi atesekele imindeni kucedza kuhlukubetana ngalendlela. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelisiwe Ndlangamandla kunavuma inkhosi Nzinisa Embabane.
Mase kunembiko loqhamuka etiko letemcebo phansi nemandla latisa sive kuthi intsengo ya diesel itakwehla ngabosheleni labange-80 ilitha kanti ke paraffin ehle ngabosheleni labange-50 ilitha bese intsengo ya petrol loluhlata iULP 95 ngeke yona ishintshe. Sive ke siyatiswa ukuthi intsengo lensha ya diesel na paraffin tawucala kusebenta kungashaya insimbi ye-12 ebusuku mhla tisi-7 enyangeni lesetulu. Lokwendvulela lwesihlanu mhla tisi-8 kuyo lesetulu. Kanti ke embikweni lothunyelelwe betindzaba ngolobambe kuba ngumabhalane lomkhulu etiko letemcebo phansi nemandla intsengo yabo oyili mhlaba wonke ichubeke nekwehla ngenxa ke yekuthengwa kwelizinga leliphansi njengoba intsengo ya oyili longakahlutwa enyangeni lephelile beyilinganiselwa ku$82.94 kanti ke umphongolo nayicathaniswa nentsengo lebekungu$90 umphongolo ngenyanga yemphala eminyakeni losetulu. Itiko lingete ukuthi kube nenzuzo ekuthengiseni ke noma ke ekuthengeni nekuthengiswa kwabo oyili eveni lesekuphocelele kona kwehla kwentsengo ya diesel kanye na paraffin. Ngisho kwaleli tiko lidola lemelika belibita 18.53 cents ngenyanga yeLweti kanti ke belibita 19.9 cents ngenyanga yemphala kuwo umnyaka losetulu. Litiko lithi intsengo yabo gasolina eveni itawuba unako lokulandzelako. Petrol loluhlata iULP 95 utawuchubeka bite 20.80 cents ilitha. Kanti ke diesel iPPMS utawehla ku 23.40 cents aye ku 22.60 cents ilitha. Bese ke paraffin lobeka bita imali lengu 18.5 cents ilitha setawubita 17.55 cents ilitha iyinye. Kanti ke kulombiko litiko lephethe ngekukhutsata sive ekutheni sisebenzise kahle oyili njengoba ke imakethe emhlaba wonke kanye nakucathaniswa nje ilangeni nelidola lemelika kukhomba kuba setulu. Sichubeka nato tindzaba hulumende welive le-Taiwan sowunikelele litiko letempilo impahla letawusebenziswa bomake uma babeleka lebita ngetulu kwetigidzi letine temalangeni 4.3 million emalangeni. Kanti ke lolusito lwemukelwe indvuna yetempilo Mduduzi Mathebula.
Hulumende welive le-Taiwan unikela le mishina netimpahla ngaphansi kwesigaba sesibili seluhlelo lekunakekela bomake uma badetfwele netinswane lelatiwa ngele-Maternal and Infant Healthcare Improvement Project. Indvuna yetiko letempilo Mduduzi Mathebula ithi lolusito lutawumbambisa uhulumende ekunciphiseni lizinga labomake netinswane letishona uma make abeleka kutfutfuke tempilo yevene.
Batosipha le equipment le amount to imali lecishe in 4.4 wetigidzi wemamiliyoni. Ngaba kubongela live nje ngiphinze ngibongele neministry for lulusito lolungaka losilidzinga silive.
Lonxusele live le-Taiwan kuleli Jeremy Liang uthi batimisele kubambisa live laseSwatini ekuthuthukiseni tempilo.
Despite all these challenges, we know that the Eswatini government is still working hard to improve the health of mothers and children in the country. Meanwhile, Taiwan never leaves our allied countries and stands together with our friends to pass through the challenges.
Ngaphansi kwalolu hlelo kusitakale bomake labatinkhulungwane tinge-20 kanzi lichutshwa imitfolampilo yelive lenge-85. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Samkelsiwe Khoza nginanothile Sithole Embabane.
Kusukela ngenyanga yakholwane kulomnyaka abantu labatfole Malaria veva bali-160 160 webantfu lokuke ngekusho kwesikhwama lesilwa nalesifo kwentela phansi imetamo yekucedza nalesifo lapha eveni. Kanti lesikhwama sesisukumise umkhankaso wekucokelela timali losukunyiswe indvuna yetemafa neRikenberg engwenya border post.
sivele silinganiselwa ku-30% kuleli lesibuya esifundeni sakaHoho kanye naselibonjeni sisengotini ekuthola amalaleveva kungako libandla lelilwa namalaleveva selisukumise umkhankaso lotawuba ngumnyaka munye wekucokelela timali tekulwa namalaleveva. Indvuna yetemafa Neil Rickenback nayisukumisa lo mkhankaso eNgwenya Border Post ichazile ukuthi uhulumende utibophelele ngalokuphelele kulwa namalaleveva. Indvuna ichaza ukuthi sive netinhlangothi letahlukene singanikela kuphi kuze leli bandla likhone kulwa naso lesifo.
Today, I'm proud to launch the Border Resource Mobilization Campaign, where donation boxes will be placed at the following points of entry: Ngwenya Border Post, what we sometimes refer to as Oshuk, Matsamo Border Post, Lomahasha Border Post, Mhlumeni Border Post, King Mswati International Airport, and Lavomisa Border Post.
Losabambe kuba ngumphathe bandleni letekuvakasha uthi uma live lingalwa namalaleveva liuncobe lokhu kutawuba nemthelela lomuhle kutekuvakasha.
Ka-tourism mukhulu kakhulu lo msebenzi lona ngoba thina sikhuthata ukuthi tivakashi natifika noma tivakashela tindzawo tethu tekuphumula kangwane tibe ngileti phephile kuto tonke tifo ikakhulu lesemindozolo.
Lilunga lebhodi yaka-Malaria Chief Mkhumbi likhuthata tonke tinhlangothi kwekuthi tilinikelele leli bandla lisalwa namalaleveva.
Lungenako nalophumako kulamabhoda kube khona la kufakako ekuthenini sikutholakale timali tekusita ekulapheni imalaria.
Leli bandla lithi lidzinga imali lenganga 6.5 million wemadola asemelika kucedza lesifo kuleli ngeminyaka wanga 2028. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV nginginelso Ndlangamandla nginavuma inkhosi inzinisa eNgwenya.
Komiti letindvuna tembuso lelanikwa umsebenzi wekucatulula tinkinga letikhona etiko letemphilo seliphatsise Central Medical Stores kutsi ibhadale lebalinika imitsi lekungema-suppliers kute kugwemeke kushoda kwemitsi etibhedlela konke kwenteke nangesikhatsi. Leli komiti livakashele i-Central Medical Stores kuyolalela tinkinga letikhona elangeni layitolo.
I-Central Medical Stores ikweleta lesebenzisana nabo noma labayithengisela emaphilisi ngama-suppliers imali lengu-33,336,436 ema-suppliers lakweletwako-ke ali-12. Likomiti lelanikwa umsebenzi wekusebenta tinkinga letikhona etiko letempilo likhombisa kukhatsateka ngaye Central Medical Stores lelithi kunebudlabha lokunenge nekunganaki kwenteni tintfo kulokunye.
Sicela ukuthi akufikele treasure masinyane kuzame ukubhadala. If we can reduce that 65% to as little as 5-10%, that means most of the payments are being made timelessly.
Sithi amaphilisi nathi akhona le warehouses but sisele umuntu odwala.
Let lama facilities ahulumende run dry afe while they have stock lelesi basupplya yabo labangasiyo ama-facilities ahulumende. Kukhona in relationship lekhona ukuthi abuye back if they have more and seside thing.
Indvuna yemabhizinisi Manqoba Khumalo lengusihlalo waleli komiti iyachaza-ke ngale bakukhanzile balikomiti.
Lokunye-ke lesikukhanzile ukuthi kunamakhamera lafuna ngabe akuletincola letisatha le mithi kusuka la iye lapha tiya khona. La makhamera akhona mana akasasebenzi. Kunetimali letidingekako ukuthi ku-renewe lama-licenses kulo service provider kuze ukuthi asebente la makhamera. Sitokwati ukuthi uma athi umuntu kahlathi imithi ifikile vele ifikile.
Leli komiti litsike litawuye nasetibhedlela nasetifundzeni lihamba ngayo inkinga yemitsi lekhona yeveni. Endzabeni ngengiyeni Msibingi Nasimuva Shongwe kuMatsapha.
Indvuna yelitiko letinkhundla Sikhumbuzo Dlamini inxusa bobaba etikhulu besifundza saseshiselweni kutsi kusasetshentwa tihlonishwe tingoni tekusebenta tindzaba temimango.
Indvuna yelitiko letinkhundla Sikhumbuzo Dlamini ihlanganyele nabobaba etikhulu besifundza saseshiselweni emsebentini wekuvusela nekubuka kusebenta kwalelitiko. Indvuna itsi kumcoka kutsi imicabango yentfutfuko litiko lelinayo licale liyendlulise kubobaba etikhulu ingakefiki emimangweni.
manje lokuhamba embili kakhulu esikugcizela kunabo babe indzaba yayo i-protocol nokusebenzisana lokuthi kufanele sindzaba ihambe ngendlela efanele la kunendzaba lekhona emangweni bobabe ayihambe through office la RA itekwe khona ize ofike mabandleni lafanele naletinye tidzinga sinza sifundza ka-administration nakhona tingakhanza zetsembabane tingadiwe sifundzeni kuloko besigcizela lapho nje ukuthi akube khona ukusebenzisana noma le office la minister livulekile kodwa kumgcwalo sesilandzele indlela efanele yokusebenza.
Sikhulumisana nabo babetikhulu labaveta imivo yabo ngendlela lababheke kusebenzisana ngayo nelitiko.
Sipokotele ke lokho ke kakhulu futhi sakumphathisa naye wenkosi ukuthi aseselatikweni sicela ayihambise embili inhlonipho. Sicela ukuthi aseselatikweni abadi bobabetikhulu ngoma kuthuthuka kwetenkundla kuphumelele emphakathini bobabetikhulu.
Sibonga nje ukuthi sethulelwe indvuna ngoku besicela endvuneni ukuthi uhlelo lwahulumende phela lokuthuthukisa tifundza nayo imiphakathi besicela lokuthi nemphakathi akube sithombe sinye ungaboni umphakathi sokungcono kulalomunye but nje kube uniform.
Indvuna ichubeke yanxusa kubo babetikhulu kutsi bayivusetele imihambo nemasiko esiswati emimangweni. Lobikako etindzabeni Eswatini TV nguthando kuhle Mdluli ngisenhlangano.
Dlalo lempelasonto kunemidlalo lomkhulu yendzebeni ye-MTN Premier League lapho khona licembu leMbabane Swallows litawutfolana eTulu neMbabane Highlanders. Kanzike lo mbiko lobekumele ulandzela ubuka umlandvo walamacembu lamabili endzebeni ye-Premier League. Alomuhle sibuke isimo selitulu sibhahlwe emarket sitabuya sichubeka nehlelo.
Sibinza silemukele sikuvusele nawo losandzako sivulela solo sichubeka nalo hlelo siyiteka tona tindzaba te cybercrime njengoba nje twakhumbula ukuthi last month inyanga yelweti live lonke belihambisa lwati noma ke landzisa lwati ngato letindzaba leti I cybercrime awareness month akugcine lapho ke solo nje siyachubeka ngikubambisana nawo amaphoyisa netinhlangano letitsintseka ukukhambisa nekufundisa sive ukuthi tinyathelo tini lekumele ukuthi tisithathe uma ngabe sifuna sive ukuthi siphephe kulokucala lobu be cybercrime amaphoyisa kumbiko amaphoyisa uyaveta ukuthi vele live leSwatini lilahlekelwa tikitsi netikitsi tamalangeni mnyaka wonke ngabo lobu gebengu lobu sesivele sinaye lapha babejele losuka khona emaphoyiseni ehovisini la ka fraud asikuvusele babejele siyabonga ukuthi namhla ekseni ube nasi so tindzaba letishisako ngalokuthi vele letikhathi letivele ngitona tikhathi tinsola bola yatibona ama opportunities ukuthi tingagebenga abantu kumbe kusivetela nje sithombese ukuthi siyakhumbula ukuthi last month nibe nayo le awareness campaign ni vakashela tindzawo letiningi solo nandzisa lwati kuva nje ukuthi vele tinombolo solo tiyanyuka yina.
Sibonga kakhulu dzadzewethu simvusele umbukele ekhaya lapha khona liqiniso lithi vele besi kulomkhankaso solo sikiwo wekuthi mhlawumbe sicwayise sona sive semaswati ngato tindzaba tempucala lobenteka kubongcondo omshini liqiniso ke lithi lesikubonako bantu bakhuthatekile labanye kusengcenye ba report letindzaba ngoba labanye ukhanda athi bayisaba nalokutibika letindzaba ngalabanye amagama ngidama kuveta dzadzewethu nasesiveni semaswati ukuthi tinombolo tiyachubeka tiyenyuka ekakhulu kati leto temacala abolendeka kubongcondo omshini lokusihlupha kakhulu nje noma ke lokuphakama kakhudlwanyana kwendlula lokunye ngito tindzaba tekutsenga online awube kunene lapho vele sibhekene nengcinamba mbamba ekuthengeni online kulesikhathi lesi nje kusukela kuNovember ude kuDecember ngulapho khona ufike ubone setinombolo tiyakhula sibili tiyabikwa bayabika abantu amaphoyiseni imali yami seyingilahlekele basithe batangithengisela nako akusekho ngakho singaphinza futhi sicele siveni semaswati bekunene ukuthi awu siyacela ukuthi vele wonke umuntu lothenga online siyathi lokuthi sinalo lungelo lokwenda lokho futhi singeke sisho singemaphoyisa athi abantu abasuthenga online indlela leyenda kusithi into tibe lula kakhulu kepha kulesinye isikhathi ke sicela lokucwayisa lesive ukuthi awu bekunene noma into tilula asimane niphela sicheke konke lesingakucheka la kumele sikucheke khona njengako nje bekunene kwekuthi ungaze ubone kwekuthi awu lento labangithengisela yona sebayangijaha la bekunene bangifaka ipressure sale wati ke lapho vele ukuthi ayi lapha vele ngilukele tibawini sibili singacela sive semaswati usicala lapho usole uma uva bakufaka ipressure kuthi ekakhulu kati bhadala masinyane ngoba mhlawumbe lento loyifunako bayifuna kuphi na kuphi bayifuna kuphi na kuphi bona lapho nje why bendele mini favor ngoba phela bathengisela labantu nangabe bayifuna labanye kulamanye emavini bangayithathi baze bakunika ipressure sibhadala masinyane faka imali engako uyibambe vele stowenda show ukuthi ngeyakho le commodity loyithengako sale wathi ukuthi vele udila nesigebengu dzadzewethu.
Ngiyabonga nje kuveta leto lokho nje ukuthi timve kumele uticaphele babejele usathenga online lokunye mhlambe lo ungasicwayisa ngako nje kumele sicaphele uma sisathenga online I think masibuka lesitolo sona asho ba advertiser la kubo social media letitolo tabo indlela kumele ngiyibuke ngibekise nje kumele ngibabudeni ukuthi ama office abo akuphi lokunye mhlambe kumele ngiyakubuta ukuthi ithini landline number yabo kutobonakala ukuthi vele cabana leoffice labakhona khona batendile ngileto intimbe mhlambe letinye kumele ukuthi sicaphele.
Siyabonga dzadzewethu kepha singete sasi advisor sive ukuthi asibute inombolo ngoba batakunika inombolo kanti vele batawuplace umuntu kuleyo ndzawo leyo na ushaya vele akuconvince ukuthi ngiso lesitolo lothenga kiso kepha mhlambe indlela tekuthi uhlolahlole ukuthi ingabe vele lento ingiyo yini kwekucala nje buka leli khasi ukuthi lingilo yini leli khasi leli mhlambe leliphephile ukuthi ngalisebenzisa lelo phela leli na esekugcineni lapha kule web address uma ngabe lingenayo vele uqale lapho ubone ukuthi ayi lapha ngeke ngize ngicale ngifaka imali yami nekwekuthi ke bekunene phela nawe scratch beneath the surface hlola nje kwekuthi isitolo lesinjena njengoba basisho laba bekunene ukuthi sikuphi utame kuyithola iaddress yaso online uyifune utame ukuthi itholela contact us waleso sitolo ubese uyashaya uyakhuluma ngalendzaba labayitekile laba bekunene utawukhanza ukuthi vele it's a total different story altogether nabo batakushela indzaba lehlukile ehlukile bese uyabona ukuthi awuvele lapha bengelukile tibawini ngiko ngithi bekunene vele i-social media iya ngekuthi uyithatha kanjani noma ke indzaba tema social platforms la sithola khona lokho kufuna bese uyaphenya uyahlola ungakubhilifi nje njengoba kunjalo bona bakutshela nako ke kusebenzisa leti nombolo lapho abatakuniketa dona bona awukuyingoti bekunene singete sasikhuthata sive sente njalo kodwa kufuna sifunele thine ithi khona indlela tekufuna nebekunene kwekusiphela buta kulabanye abantu mhlawumbe laba user friendly kulendzaba tabongcondo mshini bakhona sibakuside ekuthenini kumbe bakweluleke ukuthi ungabuka ini nani futhi ke noma kungeta nasemaphoyiseni sihlale phasi selulekane sihlole leyo nto lothi mhlawumbe ufuna ukuthenga kiyo leso sitolo leso sibone sivele singiso yini ema contacts aso akhona invele ku real yini into lokhulunywa ngayo akhona intimoto leti shiphe ngaleyo ndlela letingiyo ngoba lokunye bekunene lesingakusho esiveni confidently ngiloko ukuthi le commodity labayithengisako kungaba imoto kungaba sigulumba kungaba i-truck whatever it may be bakubeka ngemanani laphasi kakhulu latawenda kwekuthi vele ungakhoni ukuyekela ngalamanye amagama bakwenda kube so lucrative ukuthi wehluleke kukuregister so kungaze kube njalo nje bekunene ubone silento lena is too good to be true liqiniso lithi vele kusho sakusilo liqiniso ngako siyacela ukuthi sisixwayise sivese maswati sicaphele kakhulu ungathatheki kule vibe yekuthenga nje ngoba siku vibe yekuthenga nje ku December bekunene ungathatheki kakhulu but uhlole tonke into longathlola before ucommit imali
kulesinye isikhathi nje babetshele vele letinye titolo leti nengtato ti-mobile so vele ubathi uyabuka le information nama details konke kulegit konke vele netidrombe tikhona amakhasimende labawafaka kola sebawathengisele nawuthi ushayela sibani athi ya vele lesitolo sikhona kepha nawuthi uya order wena mhlawumbe uyathenga ufaka imali yakho bane bhadi bese loyo mvulo uyabaleka akasatholakala asakhona ke kuyithola impahla yakho loyibhadalele ingabe nibe nawo nama cases lawo kutheni bamfubete batawubika lokucala lobo ukuthi ngibhadele kunasitolo nazi vele sikhona sa-exista niwesele abatfola indaba lokhanze ukuthi bagebenge lapha
kuyenteka thathe wethu lokho lokushoko kuliqiniso tigebengu vele tiyakhona nalokufananisa lamakhasi ngendlela longeke mhlambe usole kalula kepha ke nangabe kwendekile uthole leso sitolo leso stayiphika leyo transactions asikake sona sayenda naku lesikwendile ukhanze sivele ngilose ehlathini mhlambe bokulikhasi ekungcono mshini lelingasilo liqiniso labalakhile laba bekunene ngiko ke bekunene sithi kona singeke sithini kepha asetameni nje ukuthi vele sitihlolisise tindo sitihluphe singasethembi lutho kuleti nsuku tanamuhla lapho khona mhlawumbe vele sekwabalula kakhulu ukukhohlisa abantu ngenhloso ukuthi mhlambe kwendiwe inzuzo emali
sona sibuka nje tindzaba tetimali nje babetshele siyadluka ukuthi vele nasekwendeke lokucala uhulumende kumele bese so uyangena naye sofaka imali takhe sekwendiwa lokwa nalokwa nasibuka nje tindzaba tetimali kusukela nje nakucala umnyaka uze kuyophela umnyaka timali letilahlekela uhulumende letinganani nje
Dzadzewethu noma mhlambe amafigures singeke siwabeke abe precise but liqiniso lempilo lithi uhulumende ulahlekelwa imali enkulu ngoba lokuphenya nje kwakona kudulile kuyamdulela uhulumende kakhulu lokuthi afande lolu luphenyo lolondiwako noma kuyahanjwa kuyiwa kubo South Africa noma ngikuphi lapho kuyiwa khona vele kufaka indleko leti setulu kakhulu bekunene noma socathanisa mhlawumbe naleyo mali leseyilahlekile kepha ke uhulumende phela vele ngeke azahlala goqetandla uma ngabe sive kubonakala ukuthi singena elubishini ngandlela thide uyakwenda konke lokusemandleni nometha kusikubitana kuze kuthi sive sikhona ukuphila kahle kube nenhlala kahle eveni netimali diphephe nemnotho ube ngilolo sesimeni lesifanele thathowethu
bayatholakala babetshele labene lokucala bamvunjile babophako nje mhlambe njalo ngeminyaka niyabathola yini bagwebe ngalobo bucala lobo
liqiniso litsathu yethu bayatholakala labantu kepha ke kulesinye isikhathi kuye kuthatha isikhashanyana ngoba phela uyuthole ukuthi njengoba lobucala lesikhuluma ngabo abuyati imincele lobo netilwandle futhi abutati lobucala esikhuluma ngabo lobe cyber uye uthole ukuthi ke kunale toti ingcinamba kumbe kuya emaveni lathide naleyo ma protocols lalandzelwako bese kuba nema delays ke kumbe kuthenini mhlawumbe labanye abantu sigcine sifikile kibo kodwa ke kuyendeka nangabe nje abende lobucala ngiyabekisa alakithi Eswatini kulula kakhulu sivele sikusebende nje kalula sigcine sifikile kuye simvetile embi kwemthetho
okay sekunanaba ke lobuvamile kulamalanga ba mobile money na imali kanye nabo e-wallet lokuthi umvu akusendele i-message bese soyakushayela athi ucela umfumelele back le mali yakho uyisende ngesiphosiso ba-targeta kakhulu bomake noma ke abantu abadala bogogo nabomkhulu ngoba bona bayade ukuthi bathola embasha njalo njalo bamhlambe bayade ukuthi mhlambe bahlale ba busy so bathola i-opportunity ukuthi hayi batawusebenzisa bona ni eliphenyeni leni nje babetshele ngathi ukuthi tinombolo tethu ti sati register kuna vele lesa register kito kulikhulu kanganani ukuthi niyilandzelele nifolele ukuthi le nombolo le yasibani ukuphi nimlocate nimfolo ngoba solo bayachubeka labamfu bashayela sive babathumelela lemilayeto ingabe ababanjwa leni kwendekani kahle kahle
ngumbuto lo muhle dzadzewethu noma utricky ngoba kulokunye singete sakudzalula lapha emoyeni kepha ke singasho lokuthi labo bantu labo vele bayalandzeleleka kepha kasikuvete nje kancane dzadzewethu lokuthi esikhatsini lesinengi kutawufuna ukuthi emaswati akubuke akucabange noma kwenda umthetho ukuthi uma ngabe kunemuntu loshonile leyo nombolo ivele ibulawe ngalokusemthethweni nguleyo service provider so lesikuthola ukuthi laba bekunene bayakhona ukuthi sebenzisa inombolo debantu asebashona ngoba solo vele tiyasebenza bese bachubeka bathi service abona bachubeka benda konke lokho nawo uthi uyaphenya ugcine mhlawumbe ufike ethuneni ngiko ngithi dzadzewethu mhlawumbe letinye izinto umuntu angetati ngoba utawufundisa manjwele ekukhala lapha ukhanze silabanye sebafundiseka ngandlela thithi ukuthi bangaphunyula kanjani kodwa nje liqiniso lithi tinhlangano noma izinkampani etingema service providers tiyawabambisa emaphoyisa ekuthenini labo bantu bafunakale bagcina batholakele babhekane nemthetho kepha ke kungiko lesikusho ukuthi awu kuyafuna kwekuthi bekunene nalabo kumbe labashaya umthetho bake bakubuke letinto lethi ukuthi angabe kungenteka kanjani lokuthi tinombolo letibulewe vele noma tete abantu lasetingasasebenzi tibulawa ngalokusemthethweni noma ke leto tinombolo etholakala ukuthi tiyachubeka tibalhlupho tishayela abantu abaningi vele service provider waleyo nombolo avele ayibulale leyo nombolo immediately sibe sisachubeka sine mhlambe sifuna lowo muntu
kuvame kakhulu lokho basebenzisa talaba la sebashile emhlabeni
kucommon
okay so nalenye indzaba nje mhlambe naye nje lesematheni nje babejele indzaba yakhona ku Facebook nabantu labathengisako ba Facebook nakhona ba create ama fake accounts siyasikubona nje lokunye ba create ama fake accounts akahulumende kwenza ukuthi ba advertise as Ministry of Agriculture ngiyabekisa ingabe nabo labo bucala babo buvame kanganani niyakhona ngibathola ukuthi hayi nanga umuntu lo create le account le
singasho nje bekunene kwekuthi sive asichubeke sikubike lokho nangabe sokubonakele kuyavela liqiniso lithi into lendekako bayathanda abantu ukukwenda lokho ngetindlela kwekuthi egcineni kwako konke bafuna kulutha abantu bagcine bathola imali letithide singacela ukuthi sichubeke sitibike sive lokho kuyaphenyeka siyakhona ukukulandzela thathu wethu noma ngabe bende luphi ihlobo lokucala babonqondo mshini njengoba sisho nje ukuthi le office la commissioner lagcina le formishe li desk lesingathi cybercrime desk kito tonke mhlawumbe tifunza taleli vele seswatini libantu labaceceshekile ngalokujulile ekutheneni nangabe ufika ubika indzaba leti njena sithi asisicinise sive ukuthi titawukhona tiyakhona kulandzeleka bagcine abantu batholakele bavele emphi kwemthetho
okay nalenye indzaba nje levamile kulamalanga babejele stawdiva nje tindzaba titokufela ukuthi sibani sodle imali tabo sibani sekucalile nivele kungena mhlambe lezi tindzaba ama cases nje lasabekiwe
siyabonga kakhulu dzadzewethu umuntu akakusho kube unetitho ngawuhamba ngetitho lokakhuluma lokho bekunene vele sihlaba inyanza leyo esiveni kwekuthi siyacela kwekuthi laba betinhlangano tetokufela timali tabo sibakhuthathe ukuthi abatifake emabhange tingahlali phasi kwemicamelo bekunene ngoba nyalo nje sesiyocalile kuthola ema reports sesinemacala lasihlanu lo sikhuluma nje lendeke kuyena lo November December asangu5 nyalo mane awo alapha esifundeni sakahoho linye liseshiselweni lokho lokukhombisa ukube kunene vele lobucala buyendeka uthole ukuthi umuntu sobika ukuthi sekugcekeziwe ekhaya sekwebiwe sekuthathwe le mali abeke nje lezo zizathu lakathi bekako kanzi uma ngabe emaphoyisa salandzela bekunene athola ukuthi imali seyimlimalele lewe kunene so ubika ke titori letithite emaphoyiseni ngiko ke sikhuthatha sive semaswati ukuthi awube kunene kuhle kona ukuthi kube khona imali esitiseva kophela umnyaka wonke leti yawusisite ekupheleni kweminyaka noma ke sokusuka kuvulwa tikolo tisite leto imali kepha atibeke ke ngendlela lefanele asikukhutsati nakancane bekunene kwekuthi sive sibuthe imali siyotibeka etindlini imali atahambe tiyobekwa la fanele khona emabhange phela bekunene nekwekuthi ke nangabe sesitawundiva leto imali noma sesitawehlukanisela nasabe leto imali leto bekunene asikugweme sive noma ke lamalunga aleto inhlangano testokfela abakugweme ukuthi bahambe bakukhuluma etiteshini temabhasi noma ngabe ngikuphi lapho bakhona khona uthi nesesiyawundiva nganalanga nale endzaweni lengikuthi awubekunene ungeke wathi ukuthi ingabe ngibani lokuvako usakhuluma leto tindzaba leto siyacela kusicwayisa sive kuloko bekunene nekwekuthi phela nangabe shothi mhlambe ke leyo mali nifuna kuyikhipha lana ikhipha khona ebhange kumbe lana ibeke khona seniyawehlukaniselana bikani ku station commander lokhona edutane atokhona athi unprovide security leta ukhona athi ibe khona kuleyo ndzawo nisandiva le mali mhlambe into khona ukuthi iphephe leyo mali ngoba uma bawona lamela bekunene besidlani banithole kwekuthi nandiva leyo mali lapho nindiva khona batawuyithatha vele banibamba inkuzi bayithathe yonke le mali siyacela sivenise maswati emaphoyisa alungele bekunene kwekuthi asisite sive kakhulu kati kulesikhathi lesi nje se festive season ageared up vele ukuthi akhone kubhekana naso sonke isimo lesikhona so na ufikile ku station commander wabika na kanjani utayi provide security kuze imali tesive siphethe iphephe nekwekuthi ke dzathe wethu asiqinise sisho esivenise maswati ukuthi awube kunene vele thine sikhutsata njengemaphoyisa kwekuthi leti mali atehanjiswe khona ngale mabhangi lathi ngakhona khona ngoba emabhangi atawukhona kwekuthi anihambise lesimali lengakuya ungena kubani imali lengakuya ungena kubani bekunene kulula kakhulu ukuhambisa le mali ngale ndlela lethu noma ngabe umuntu ude i-account for that matter siyathi ukuthi inhlangano tetincingo noma itinkampani tetincingo ema service providers lanjalo asanato indlela tekwekuthi imali tihanjiswe nangato leto indlela leto bekunene ebhange bawoneluleka tihambe leto imali tiye kubanika tibato ngaphandle kwekuthi kube khona umuntu lo se alayisha lisaka le mali uyathi ngisasho lokho dzathu wethu ngicela kusho futhi esivenise maswati ukuthi awube kunene nangabe unesidingo sekukhipha imali lenkulu bekunene siyacela sive sixwaye kuyibeka emotolweni le mali esiyikhiphile ngoba lokho kukhuthatha naba lesisibolandela labahlala bacothele laphana emabhange noma ke kuma banking halls bendlulise abantu nayifika umuntu athi yendlula kukhona lengisekumele endlula kanti ubuke ethi ngibalo khipha imali lenengi emva kwaloko so umokha ngemuva uyamlandzela uyefika uyayifaka umuntu imali yakhe emotolweni uyahamba mhlambe so wenta lokunye lapha ipake khona nakabuya ukhansi imoto yakhe seyigcekeziwe uthethwe nje leyo mali bekunene siyacela ukuthi uma uyikhiphile imali enkulu kube nesidingo saloko hamba uyimikise lapho iya khona le mali ngaphandle kokuma endleleni ngoba wema endleleni vele kungenteka sobaniketa lithuba
sisakhuluma nje ngamabhange babetshele emabhange cisho onke vele sewa introduce buchwepheshe lobu convenient phenze futhi ke pha bube ingodi ema online apps ukuthi soyakhona nje kwena ama transactions na une app ebhange lakho connect ngagesi uthonge kwenda lokho naloko uhambise imali kepha nakhona kunedingodi takhona engabe ngidiphi leto dingodi nje kumele ukuthi sive sidicaphela
siyabonga dzadzewethu ema-apps emabhange akithi kuyindlela lelula kakhulu le yokusebenta sikhone ku-transacta noma ngikuphi lapho sikhona khona kepha-ke sicela kucwayisa kusibe kunene noma i-app iphephile liciniso lothi iphephile kutawuya ngokuthi uyiphethe njani uma sotawutransacta online ku-free wifi lapho kungenteka kube sovela uluke letibawini ngoba ungeke wathi ku-free wifi akukho kuphepha lokungaba khona uma ngabe nje sowutransacta online lapho uphume ku-free wifi nangabe ku-free wifi bese sowungena ku-data yakho soyatransacta-ke online and then kude inkinga leti abakhona lapho kodwa watransacta lapha kule platform yelele free ayube kunene hawu siyacela kusixwayisa sivethu kunetingodi lapho nekwekuthi ke phela uma ngabe kunjalo kumele lama gadgets ethu lesi transacta ngawo la kuma apps ethu khona asibe nesiciniseko sithi hlala tikhiwe leto tincingo lethu kubete kusi mhlawumbe nebantu abethu sekungenteka befike lo cingo lwethu baluvule bayivule iapp yethu engcenye sebadati naleto tinombolo lethu imfihlo bachafata bahambisa imali awube kunene sicela athi nasicaphele lokho iapp yasebhange iphephe kakhulu zathu
lenye nje ile nayo lesolo inkinga engabe vele esasenkingeni babetshele ATM fraud lokuthi vele baclone le card lakho balisebenzise kwena ama transactions encenye
siyabonga dzadzewethu noma kulamalanga ingasiyo kumbe levela kangakanani kodwa asichubeke sive semaswati sibe nesiciniseko sekwekuthi nasifika ebhange uyawuthi uyisithe inombolo yakho leyimfihlo kuthi bantu bangede bayibona uyisitha ngesandla noma ngani lo iphethe noma ipace yakho noma yini ongakhona kuyisitha ngayo ubese uyachafata ke kahle nekwekuthi ungavumi phela ukuthi kube nemuntu lobukako over your shoulder kwekuthi ngabe uchafata debit nombolo ngoba ungede wathi uthi utawendani kuyendeka kulesinye isikhathi bese bawisa icard lelidzala lalelo bhange lapha balitsitsile baso nasuthi uyahamba sincesi na card lakho lilahleka la kanti sebakuntshintshisela bathatha lelakho licard ngaleto ndlela leto nekwekuthi bekunene asicapheleni njalo nasucede transacta lithathe lecard lakho uphindze futhi uyithathe imali yakho imaqala nje lesivama kuwabona kulamalanga ekwekuthi ukhanze umuntu uyishila imali lapha kule ATM slot utransactile kwaphuma lecard kuqala wathatha likhadi kumbe une red mist engqondweni kwala jahe khona wathatha likhadi walifaka la lifaka khona wahamba nathi uyaphutha imali sekude sebayithethe labalandzela mhlawumbe lapho ebhange singacela bekunene kwekuthi imali leso sikhashanyana imizuzwana nje lengasiyo lengakanani ibese iyachamuka imali uthathe imali yakho uthathe likhadi lakho uthambele kahle ngalokuphephile nekwekuthi dzadzewethu gweme kwekuthi sikhiphe imali ekuma ATM lasemakhwace kakhulu kathi nasekuhwalele siyacela bekunene sigweme lokho ngoba batasemuka leto imali tethu
kwegcina nje babejele ngabe mhlambe asekhona ama activities lenwendako nje nilhovisi la ka fraud kuzama nje kwanzisa lwati mhlambe niwenda ku social media mhlambe nihlangana nesive emimangweni kukhona iniloko lenikwendako nje ku educators wana sive
Siyabonga kakhulu dzadzewethu ku educator sive vele into lesiyendako sisebenzisa indlela etiningi letahlukahlukene siyaya emadolobheni lawa lasilalela bomankayane sitabe sikhona khona njengemgcibelo silapho ke sihlange sibankers association sihamba siyoxwayisa sive khona besisebuhleni kulela viki lelephelile nakhona senda wona lo msebenzi lo sihambisa lo mkhankaso ukuthi awusive semaswati asimane sicaphele bekunene siyathi ukuthi knowledge is power so uma ngabe labantu sibanikete lo lwati ekutawukhona sithi imali tabo dikhone kuphepha noma ke bagweme ukuthi mhlambe basebenzise imali tabo ngetindlela ukuthi bangemukwa bosidlani so mina ngimkhankaso vele lesiyendako dzadzewethu kakhulu nekusho kwekuthi nje ngemsombuluko lesiyakiwo sitabe silapha ezulwini sixwayisa sive sakhona ngetindzaba tabo cybercrime cishe lilanga lonke langa lomsombuluko sitabe sikhuluma naso sitama kusixwayisa sibambisa nato tonke mhlambe inhlangano letisisitako ukuthi silwe nalobucala lobunjengalobo
ngiyavakala simakhulu babejele isikhathi sakho mbukeli sokuthi vele ukuthi njalo kumele ukuthi sicaphele itinswela boya leti tawuthola ama opportunities ukuthi tisigebenge njalo nje senesiqiniseko sokuthi uma ngabe senda ama online transactions senesiqiniseko sokuthi siphephile nato leti tolo leti advertise abo social media asitihlolisise ukuthi vele tingito yini na ngaphambi kokuthi sifake imali ukuthi sitiphephisa kuleti ngoti leti noma ke kulobucala lobu sitabathola emakethe sitawubuya sichubeke nehlelo
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds, full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, to feel the rush of life overwhelm you, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. You ask, and we give you the royal experience. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. There are but a few places on earth so special, so unique, and so spectacular, where it becomes the rite of passage for the ambitious travelers, the courageous souls, to all have the one and only royal experience. That day when you look deep into your heart and leap into an ancient world so very different from your own, where magic, beauty, and love are shared forever, then you will have a royal experience. There is just one place on earth where the people make you feel a part of their kingdom, where you just might volunteer to awaken spirits, enrich minds, and work alongside communities to build, motivate, and inspire. This is truly the royal experience. When you dream of a different world, beyond the ordinary, beyond time, discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Welcome back. This is the news at 7. The patron of Eswatini Education Research Association in Nkosikati, Magela Matabula, has challenged researchers who are currently participating in an academic research conference at Esibayeni Lodge in Matapa to generate sustainable solutions that will transform the education system and develop the country. Nkosikati was speaking when officially opening the conference, which is being hosted by the association together with Eswatini Higher Education Council. The Nkosikati was represented by Her Royal Princess Tanzile.
Educators, scholars, and researchers are engaging in robust discussions aimed at empowering academic research to generate effective solutions to challenges that confront the country. At Sibaya, the nation raised major concerns regarding the quality, impact, and future of the education sector in the country and called for sustainable solutions. Academic research that begins in schools has been identified as one of several initiatives that can transform the education sector. Nkosikati Magela Matabula said the conference must generate recommendations that will transform education in the country.
May we further challenge the researchers to remember that several of the concerns that Emma Swati raised at Sibaya recently were directly linked to education. May those be our problem statements for stimulating research to equip the ministry to develop the relevant policies. You carry a heavy but hopeful duty to inform and impact the full, well-rounded academic journey guaranteed to coming generations in our national constitution. We wish you constructive dialogue, yielding insights to our policy organs so that they can act upon them. Most of all, we wish you courage and commitment as we transform education together.
The president of Eswatini Research Educational Association, Dr. Alfred Tsigati, said the conference theme, which is transforming education for the emerging context, addresses pressing issues that confront the education sector.
The transformation of education for the emerging context directly relates to the need to address issues such as graduate unemployment, challenges faced by the 21st century learner, fourth industrial revolutions, among others.
The Vice-Chancellor of the University of Eswatini, Professor Justice Twala, challenged researchers to engage in research that brings positive change.
As educators, scholars, and researchers, it is our shared responsibility to engage in innovative and rigorous research that not only identifies problems, but also generates effective solutions. Sharing knowledge derived from research catalyzes positive change in the educational landscape.
Distinguished educators who have played a major role in the education sector were recognized during the conference. Those who received awards were Professor Musa Dube, Makhosazana Madondo, Dr. Bongile Putswa, and Dr. Edmund Mazibuko. On the news, I am Sandile Makanya reporting for Eswatini TV in Matapa.
The Deputy Prime Minister, Kusile, says sign language should be taught in all training institutions in the country so that people from the deaf community can be adequately assisted in the country. The Deputy Prime Minister was speaking during the commemoration of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities in Manzini.
There are over 100,000 people living with disabilities in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Slightly over 7,000 of those are people with albinism. The Kingdom of Eswatini has joined the rest of the UN family in celebrating the International Day of Persons with Disability, an event that was held at the Mavuso Trade and Exhibition Center in Manzini. FOSWA President Bongan Makama is pleading with government to ratify the African Union Disability Protocol.
We do appreciate what government has done in terms of legislation that seeks to improve the lives of persons with disability. I also implore government to ratify the African Union Disability Protocol that covers a wide range of issues affecting the disabled community.
Winning Member of Parliament Alec Lushabens pledged their support to the Deputy Prime Minister's office in its endeavor to improve the lives of disabled Emaswati.
We have heard the plight of persons living with disability in the kingdom, and we want to pledge our full support to the DPM's office in terms of enacting laws that will protect people with albinism in the country.
UNFPA's country director, Margaret Twala, who was representing the UN resident coordinator, applauded His Majesty's government for the strides that have been made in transforming the lives of disabled Emaswati.
We want to appreciate what government has done and continues to do to improve the livelihood of the disabled community.
The Deputy Prime Minister Kusile touched on the importance of sign language and employment opportunities for persons with disability.
Minister of Education, akasensitizwe ati kwebuthi i-curriculum center.
We need to sensitize the Ministry of Education to ensure that sign language is taught in all training institutions in the country. We need to speak to the Civil Service Commission to give us a quota of how many people living with disability should be employed annually.
That the Constitution should recognize sign language as a third official language. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Lincoln Kule in Manzini.
The Minister for Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, says the ministry is committed to the fight against gender-based violence. The minister was speaking during a courtesy visit by different religious organizations where they voiced their concerns about the rising cases of gender-based violence in the country.
The minister says gender-based violence is discouraged at all levels. She says her ministry is ready to support all initiatives aimed at eradicating gender-based violence, even if it means enacting laws that will help the church in this endeavor.
Kunemadimoni lento yalokubulala labantu lesehlele eveni lasathi ngabafundisi ukuthi vele sale bawukhuta ngemthandazo sekufuna ukukhutwa ngemthandazo lokho sekwehlevel. Siyabonga nje ukuthi bafundisi bakukhutile lokho. Nemithetho lebesolo sithembisa nayo na bese sicale siyisebenta ethemini lephelile awuvele sesitawuvele sikhweleti kwayo nyalo sesitawugijima vele sisebente bafundisi sigcine kwendekile vele.
Pastors say forgiveness, respect and patience can play a major role in ending gender-based violence. They say if there is no amicable solution, people will rather separate, though it is against the Bible, than resorting to killing each other.
Uma ngabe seniyehlukana hlukanani kahle yebo iBhayibheli alisho magongo ukuthi lanishadile lehlukana kodwa sesikhathi manje kuthi lengabe vele akulungu.
Live la uNkulunkulu lisifundisa lona ukuthi uNkulunkulu oluthando. Lokusho ukuthi ke uma ngabe ke ngithi ngiyamthanza umuntu into loyithanzako awuyi abuse.
Umuntu omthanza kuyamvikela nje ukuthi sengathi into ngeti yamonakalela. Ngiyeke nje mhlambe ngisho nesebandleni lokuthi nabe kuphumulela wakini noma ngumakhelwane noma ngumlingani bonga.
They urge all sectors to play their part in ending this kind of violence, starting in chiefdoms. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa Mbabane.
The government of the Republic of China and Taiwan has donated medical equipment worth 4.3 million emalangeni to the Ministry of Health. The donation was received by the Minister of Health, Mduduzi Matsebula.
The government of the Republic of China and Taiwan is donating this medical equipment and consumables through the phase 2 of the Maternal and Infant Healthcare Improvement Project implemented by the Taiwan Technical Mission. The donation was received on behalf of government by the Minister of Health, Mduduzi Matsebula.
The ministry is proud to receive equipment that comprise 6 jaundice meters from Mbabane Government Hospital, Mangayane Government Hospital, Good Shepherd Hospital, RFM Hospital, Peak, and Tlatikulu Government Hospitals, and life-saving drugs that include oxytocin, costing 4.4 million.
The ambassador of China on Taiwan in Eswatini, Jeremy Liang, said his government is committed into supporting the country's universal health coverage.
Despite all these challenges, we know that the Eswatini government is still working hard to improve the health of mothers and children in the country. Meanwhile, Taiwan never leaves our allied countries and stands together with our friends to pass through the challenges.
The donation includes 6 jaundice meters, blood transfusion IV set, and vital sign monitors. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza with Notiles Tole, Babane.
From July this year, when the malaria season began, 160 people have been diagnosed with malaria, with the majority of cases being locally transmitted. These statistics were revealed by the Minister for Finance, Neil Rakenberg, at Ngwenya Border Post during the launch of the Malaria Fund Border-to-Border Resource Mobilization Campaign, which is aimed at raising funds to end malaria.
The End Malaria Fund says 30% of Eswatini's population is classified as at risk for malaria, and these are mainly residents of Lubombo and the Hoho regions. The Malaria Fund is mobilizing resources in the fight against malaria.
Today, I'm proud to launch the Border Resource Mobilization Campaign, where donation boxes will be placed at the following points of entry: Ngwenya Border Post, what we sometimes refer to as Oshuk, Matsamo Border Post, Lomahasha Border Post, Mhlumeni Border Post, King Mswati International Airport, and Lavomisa Border Post.
A member of the board, Chief Mkumbi, urges all stakeholders to donate towards the End Malaria cause. He says donation boxes will be placed in all border posts in the country.
Longenako nalophumako kulama border kube khona la kufakako ekuthenini sikutholakala timali tekusita ekulapheni imalaria.
The acting chief executive officer of Eswatini Tourism Authority, Simphiwe Ngubeni, says when Eswatini is malaria free, tourists will have confidence in visiting the country.
Ka tourism mukhulu kakhulu lo msebenzi lona ngoba tsine sikhutsata ukuthi tivakashi natifika noma tivakashela tindzawo tethu tekuphumula kangwane tibe ngileti kuto tonke tifo ikakhulu lesemindozolo.
The Malaria Fund says it needs over 123 million emalangeni to end malaria by the year 2028. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Ngwenya.
The Cabinet Subcommittee has asked the essential medical stores to pay suppliers in order for them to supply and deliver drugs on time. The committee visited the essential medical stores in Matapa to look into the matters of the shortage of drugs.
The central medical stores owe suppliers an amount of 33,366,000. Suppliers owed are 12 in number. The Parliament subcommittee that was set to look into the matters within the Ministry of Health and shortage of medicine in the country have voiced their concern on a number of things at the central medical stores. The subcommittee asked the central medical stores to strengthen controls and the need of digital evidence of outgoing stock. They were asked to pay suppliers on time.
If we can reduce that 65% to as little as 5-10%, that means most of the payments are being made timelessly. Let lama facilities ahulumende run dry after while they have stock lelesi ba supplier labangasiyo ama facilities ahulumende. Kukhona in relationship lekhona ukuthi abuye back if they have more and that's it.
Another anomaly that was found was the lack of tracking devices on cars and non-functioning of cameras, which are key in monitoring the stock. The chairperson of the subcommittee, Minister Wangoba Kumalo, says central medical stores must improve on a number of things.
Lama camera akhona mana akasasebenzi kunetimali letidingekako ukuthi ku renew lama licenses kulo service provider kuze ukuthi asebente lama camera. Sitokwati ukuthi uma athi umuntu kahlathi imithi ifikile vele ifikile.
The subcommittee will move to other regions and hospitals on the same investigation. Reporting IMKN Msibu, it's Muvashongwe, Matsapa.
The Minister for Tinkhundla Administration and Development, Skhumbuzo Dlamini, is pleading with chiefs from the Kusile region to always observe and protocol when executing their duties.
The Minister of Tinkhundla Administration and Development, Skhumbuzo Dlamini, has been officially unveiled to chiefs from different constituencies in the Kusile region. The minister says he finds it important to share the ministry's ambitions with the rightful authorities before implementing them.
ayihambe through office la RA tekwe khona izofika abandlela lafanele naletinye letidzinga since sifunza administration nakhona tingakhanza September abane tingadiwe sifunzene kunoko besigcizela lapho nje ukuthi akube khona ukusebenzisana noma le office la minister livulekile kodwa kumgcwalo sesilandzele indlela efanele ukusebenza.
We spoke with some of the chiefs who shared their views on the conduct they expect from the Ministry of Tinkhundla.
Sipokotele ke lokho ke kakhulu futhi sakumphathisa naye wenkosi ukuthi aseselatikweni sicela ayihambise embili inhlonipho sicela ukuthi aseselatikweni abadi boba betikhulu ngoma kuthuthuka kwetinkhundla kukhungelele emphakathini boba betikhulu.
Sibonga nje ukuthi sethulelwe indvuna ngokuke besicela endvuneni ukuthi hlelo lwahulumende phela lokuthuthukisa tifundza nayo imphakathi besicela lokuthi nemphakathi akube sithombe sinye ungabona umphakathi so ungcono kulalomunye but nje kube uniform.
The Minister of Tinkhundla has further urged the chiefs to revive the Eswatini culture in their various imiphakathi. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Thando Dluli, Hlangano.
The Ministry of Education says it is happy to see learners excelling academically. The Manzini region held the Manzini Regional Awards to honor learners who excelled in Standard 5, Form 3 and Form 5 in the year 2022.
The Manzini Regional Awards were aimed at honoring learners and schools that have excelled academically in the year 2022. The Minister of Education's representative on the awards was Lindiwe Dlamini, who expressed joy on behalf of the ministry when learners excel in their subjects.
But people need to be motivated so that they self-actualize. So by so doing, by awarding them, it's a way of encouraging them and also encouraging the school. Not that we are promoting competition amongst the school, but it's a way of saying thank you, well done, and we encourage them to continue doing well. And we believe that the other schools, they are also going to copy from the schools that have done well.
Motivational speakers were also part of the awards to motivate the learners. Reporting IMKN Msibi with Muvashongwe, Matsapa.
And in our international news, Ukraine said at least 2 people were killed and 4 injured by Russian shelling in the Kherson region on Sunday, while air defenses downed 10 Russian drones overnight. Kherson was recaptured by Ukrainian forces in November 2022, but has since faced relentless shelling by Russian forces from the opposite bank of the adjoining Dnieper River.
The aftermath of an attack. Ukrainian authorities reported deaths by Russian shelling in the southern city of Kherson. They are the latest fatalities in months of persistent shelling by Moscow's forces. Kherson's military administration released this footage of damaged buildings and bodies lying in the street.
The shelling lasted for almost 2 hours. It was in Kherson, in the center of the city. As a result, 2 people died, one woman, 33 years old, and a man, 46 years old.
Ukrainian forces recaptured Kherson just over a year ago, but it remains targeted by Russian forces on the opposite side of the Dnieper River that runs next to the city. With the war continuing on multiple fronts in Ukraine and with no end in sight, Ukrainians are bracing themselves for winter. In a village in the Mykolaiv region, northwest of Kherson, many of the buildings are in ruins. One resident, though, is trying to fix what he can to his house to have shelter from the cold.
I hope it can be rebuilt. The foundations are fine and some of the walls are okay, but specialist professionals need to look at it.
Russia's full-scale invasion began in February 2022. The Ukrainian army and civilians are facing a second full winter of war.
The United States said on Tuesday it would refuse visas for extremist Israeli settlers behind a wave of violence against Palestinians in the West Bank, as it also asked Israel to do more to spare civilians in Gaza.
It may be Israel's greatest international ally, but the US took rare action against Tel Aviv on Tuesday, saying it would impose travel bans on extreme Israeli settlers after they were linked to a swathe of recent attacks against Palestinian civilians in the occupied West Bank.
Under this policy, the United States will pursue visa restrictions against individuals involved in or meaningfully contributing to the undermining of peace, security, or stability in the West Bank. This includes acts of violence against persons or property, as well as undue restrictions on civilians' access to essential services and basic necessities.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken warned Israel that it hadn't addressed the settler attacks, driving many Palestinians off their land. Despite mounting international criticism of Israel, Washington has staunchly supported Tel Aviv since the October 7th Hamas attack, but has repeatedly nudged Israel about the settler violence and how its calls had been ignored. Here in this village in the occupied West Bank, schools and houses have been destroyed and much of the village bulldozed after a raid by extreme Israeli settlers.
Someone was shooting at my uncle, so I ran down there and I confronted him. We were pushing each other and screaming, head to head, and I was filming him at the same time. Then around 20 more settlers came.
The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs say that 314 recorded settler attacks have taken place since October 7th, resulting in Palestinian casualties, property damage, or both.
In the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas, both sides claim to be the victim of war crimes and are preparing to present legal cases to the International Criminal Court in The Hague.
International Criminal Court Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan toured the ruins of Israeli communities that Hamas gunmen attacked on October 7th. The attackers killed more than 1,200 Israelis and took 240 others as hostages, most of them civilians. Khan listened to the testimony of survivors and family members of the hostages, calling the attacks serious international crimes that shock the conscience of humanity.
Hostage taking represents a great breach to the Geneva Conventions. It represents a specific offence under the Rome Statute. And I call for the immediate release of all hostages taken from Israel and for their safe return to their families.
Lawyers for the Hostage and Missing Families Forum, a group of families of the hostages, say they want Khan to immediately open an investigation on behalf of hundreds of October 7th victim families, even before the war ends.
There's no question about jurisdiction against Hamas. There's no question about it being wide-scale and systematic and an international crime against humanity, war crime, and genocide.
But Palestinians argue that it is Israel that has been violating international law by its military campaign in Gaza, which has killed more than 15,000 people, a majority of them women and children, according to the Hamas-controlled health ministry in Gaza.
The legal situation, literally, it's war crimes, crimes against humanity. There is ethnic cleansing, genocide taking place in the Gaza Strip. What's going on, rule of jungle, not the rule of law.
ICC prosecutor Khan addressed Palestinian war crimes claims against Israel when he met with Palestinian Authority leaders in the West Bank town of Ramallah. But many Palestinian human rights organizations boycotted his visit, accusing him of favoring Israeli claims over long-standing Palestinian charges.
I've also spoken to individuals that have lost their families, loved ones, children, wives, parents in the rubble of Gaza. I have made it crystal clear. The law is not some cosmetic adornment that can be disregarded. It's a fundamental requirement that must be complied with.
Besides the case before the International Criminal Court on behalf of the Israeli victims' families, the State of Israel will conduct military trials of about 900 Hamas militants arrested on October 7th, including charges of sexual violence as a war crime. While the war in Gaza continues to rage on the battlefield, Israeli and Palestinian legal activists prepare for a different kind of fight in international court.
Tensions rose between Venezuela and Guyana on Tuesday as Caracas proposed a bill to create a Venezuelan province in a disputed oil-rich region and ordered the state oil company to issue licenses for extracting crude there.
President Maduro stood in front of a galvanized government pledging to launch Venezuelan oil and mine development in the oil-rich region of Essequibo and asking Guyanese companies to withdraw their operations from the area. He also suggested a bill be sent to the National Assembly for the creation of Guyana Essequibo, a new state in the region.
Let's immediately proceed with the granting of operating licenses for the exploration and exploitation of oil, gas, and mines in the entire area of our Guyana Essequibo. Under the special law, I propose to give all Guyanese companies 3 months to withdraw from their operations in the sea. 3 months.
This comes after Caracas's referendum on Sunday, where according to officials it had a 50% voter turnout, of which 95% of voters were in favor of claiming sovereignty over the region. The 160,000 square kilometer region has been a disputed territory between Venezuela and Guyana for over a century. But Venezuela's interest in the area peaked after the discovery of offshore oil and gas in 2015. Essequibo makes up 2/3 of neighboring Guyana, which produces 400,000 barrels of oil and gas per day. In a statement on Tuesday, Guyanese president denounced Maduro's actions.
This is a direct threat to Guyana's territorial integrity, sovereignty, and political independence.
Guyana warned Venezuela that it would turn to the UN Security Council for help should any further moves be made.
Former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson will face tough questioning at a public inquiry on Wednesday over his government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic after a barrage of criticism from his former aides. Nearly 130,000 people died with COVID in the UK by mid-July 2021, and one of the worst official per capita tolls among Western nations.
Mid-March 2020, when most European countries were under lockdown to stop the spread of COVID, in the UK, it was almost business as usual. It's only on March 23rd that former Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced a first lockdown.
You must stay at home.
Former officials told the inquiry into the handling of COVID that taking the decision so late likely cost lives.
I want to take this opportunity, if I may, my lady, to apologise to the victims who endured so much pain, the families who endured so much loss as a result of the mistakes that were made by government.
Boris Johnson allegedly put the economy first, sacrificing vulnerable people. He's accused of saying this to his advisors.
Did you hear him say, let the bodies pile high in their thousands, or it's only killing 80-year-olds?
There's been a few different versions of these stories knocking around.
And you heard that?
I heard that in the Prime Minister's study.
Former officials have told the inquiry that Johnson often changed his mind and struggled to understand the science behind the pandemic.
Is that really what it looks like with these sort of...
Yes, that's the nearest we can get to what it was like.
Good. But it has these like spaghetti-like structures.
Yeah, that's all.
Well, I think I'm right in saying that the Prime Minister at the time gave up science when he was 15. And I think he'd be the first to admit it wasn't his forte, and that he did struggle with some of the concepts, and we did need to repeat them often.
Boris Johnson has long defended his way of managing the crisis, focusing on the fact Britain was among the first to put mass testing and vaccination in place.
In our sports news, the biggest game in the land this coming weekend will see Mbabane Swallows taking on Mbabane Highlanders in the Mbabane Derby under the MTN Premier League. The following report looks at head-to-head between the two Mbabane Giants.
The so much anticipated biggest game in the lane will be the Mbabane Derby this coming weekend, when Mbabane Swallows takes on Mbabane Highlanders under the MTN Premier League. When looking at the history of the two sides in the league, Mbabane Swallows was established back in 1948 and have historically lifted 7 league titles, with their last one being in 2018. On the other side, Mbabane Highlanders was established back in 1952 and have lifted 13 league titles, with their last one being in 2001. In the last 5 head-to-head encounter between the two sides, Highlanders have won twice, while Mbabane Swallows has won once, with the other 2 meetings being 2 draws. The two sides last met in September this year during the 2023 Momo Cup tournament, with Swallows winning 2-1 at Mavuso Sports Centre. Sizolo Tushabara and Ayanda Katlela were on the score sheet for Swallows, while Pilani Mkondo had opened the score. In the current campaign, Mbabane Swallows are currently ranked second with 21 points in 10 games played so far, while Mbabane Highlanders are seated 5th with 17 points. The game will be played this Sunday at the Mavuso Sports Centre. This report was compiled by Fabrice Msonra. Amin Babane.
We've come to the end of our bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a break. We'll be shortly back.
This weekend is Eswatini, your official weekend party starter. Tune in for the best of entertainment,
We're bringing you the hottest music videos and live studio interviews with your favorite celebrities. We're giving you a front row seat to the latest fashion trends as well as your weekend gig guide. Join us live on social media and call in to send your shout-outs. Be sure to catch our movie segment where we review and give updates on all latest movies. Catch This Week in Eswatini every Friday at 5:30 p.m. live on Eswatini TV.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. You know the vibes, it's the beat down. The time is 8 p.m. It's time for you to relax, sit back, relax, and enjoy the music videos that I got for you.
Moving no direction, like it's a calling. When alive in the middle of nowhere, shake the ground and burn the air. So yeah, you don't have to hold back for anything or anyone. Just own this.
Kwalomhla siphinze sikwamukele ehlelweni sishilo sicala hlelo ukuthi ke sitaba nensatheli emsakata wa senior journalist LinkedIn kule kukhulumisa some of the trending topics in our development lapha eveni. Sifuna nje kucala ngenzaba lenkhulu lesibonile la ngenlayitolo in what was a nerve-wracking yet exciting election process of regional women MPs. 4 women members of parliament have finally been elected. La ngenlayitolo makwabane ngisakwamukela ehlelweni. We are learning ukuthi these 4 new faces are new. They are new nje eParliament. Kanti ke they were in the race with bantu lesingasho ukuthi bese banayo ihistory basebenta khona eParliament. So it was quite interesting kubona ukuthi they made submissions that were convincing enough ekutheleni kuvotelwe bona. Engabe batawusebenta kanjani? But encenye singafiki lapho akake siyendvulele nje ngekubuka ukuthi sifika kanjani vele la. Indzaba lenkulu me and you will agree ukuthi silo semhlaba likhetho lungaqali lithinza kakhulu indzabeke ukuthi asithole representation not just kubomake as well as bantu labasha bantu labakhubatekile but kunaluhlobo nalabomake isiphinza singene ke ku constitution LinkedIn. I think I do just want to open masinyane lana chapter 7 where constitution yet is the legislature lapha ku part 1. No, pardon me. Part 1, yes, representation of the people. A subheadline, it's a representation of the people. Kuna section 86, local representation of women. I just want to read it briefly. Where at first meeting of the House, after any general election, let's say Buyagoyo, it appears that female members of parliament will not constitute at least 30% of the total membership of parliament. Then and only then, this provision of this section shall apply. It has applied. It means we hadn't met 30%. Just give us this highlight, LinkedIn, the importance of the representation of women, and even outside of just Eswatini, because we know that the whole world is also advocating for this.
Siyavusela sivusele Maswati namhla ekseni. Ngiyakhumbula ukuthi iBC nakatalwa ngonyaka wa 2008 be akhona ama pieces of legislations lebeside wona at the time. Right. Le fire cuts ke nga 2013 wase kuba nalezidingo sokuthi umhlaba wonke ukhuluma ukuthi bomaka abavele phela etikundleni tebuholi bameleleke nase parliament. Iqhamuka lapho ke lenzaba ya 30%. Yabusisa ke ngonyama I Women's Elections Act ngayo 2013 ukuthi ikhona le provision kumthetho wesekelo siyabusindwe la ihlala kweqala sinako lesibalo saboma. Uyakhumbula ukuthi iParliament live inetindlu letimbili kunale Senate phinze kuba nale Assembly. So lesibalo salabo make naso nasikhuluma ngeParliament sikhuluma ngale letinto leti-2 leti kwabonakala ke lesikhona lesidingo sekusuku invoke le section esocetsa kuyi-quotas fees so letawenta leyo ukuthi bomake at least meet lo 30%. But we want to emphasize leyo ukuthi I think etinkhundleni nawubuka emaswati bomake labakheza labaqhamuka etinkhundleni kube kwaba improvement le singazange sesiyibone nje bekuqala ngqa vele kusiqhamuke inombolo lenkulu I think waqhamuka 8 nangaphosisi.
Yeah, it was 8 indeed.
Yeah, labaqhamuka etinkhundleni but nje kuba brief sesicedzile iparliament yelive sayiphelele manje nasesifike la ke
now umthetho wesisekelo composition of parliament sithi thina enyalo ngemsebenzi lowenteka itolo sasifike emaphethelweni impela sesibuke ukuthi nangomnyaka wa 2024 nakuvulwa iparliament kude ba processes inyalo leswagadile la takwendeka kutheni niphelele i12 parliament
nyalo seyiphelele sifisi nyalo lokutawenteka ngilo ukuthi ingonyama itayivula iparliament eminyakeni lotako sekuqala ke lama processes ekusebenta kwahulumende nasikhuluma ngahulumende sikhuluma ngalo 3 arms of government sekuqala lokusebenta kwale legislature sekuqala ke manje ama processes ayo ukuthi kufune ku-deliver i-budget speech kufune bakhethe ama-committee latawelusa ematiko kanjalo kufune kube nabo-PAC khethwe emalunga latawungena ku-PAC iqhubeke-ke iparliamente yesebenza.
Yeah. What sentiment do you want to drive out in terms of congratulating first and foremost laba sebendile? You know, we may want to even mention names because here are some of the visuals. Sibonele misebendile na LinkedIn. I think me and you we have even said kuleti tulo leti broadcasting hours and hours of these processes, long processes, la meticulous, very key. Would abe meticulous LinkedIn. I think some people were even saying, hey, cancel the voting process. We thought this thing was going to be an hour. Kanza would say about 4 hours. We see Benedict Klaba, who is the clerk to Parliament, very instrumental during this whole process. Hulumende welivela kangwane. I think my MPs nakavusele ngwenyameni bonke bangaqali kuvusele ngwenyameni bebaqale bakhuluma indzaba kwekuthi sibonga ukuthi likhetho lihambe kahle sibonga ukuthi sibahambe kahle. All these processes are a culmination of what you have said, LinkedIn, rightfully saying ukuthi sesicedzile nge-composition of parliament, but indeed 4 new faces, congratulating those 4 new faces as well as hopefully ukuthi kutavele kutabanga lamagonzo angwe
ukuthi ke utekenza be ukuthi bacumbe phansi mhlambe bomkanje bovu ku politiki ngicabanga ukuthi sinyathelo lesithethe iparliament mhlambe ibavile ngoba balitholile lithuba lesibahambe bakhankasa labo make sifiso babe sebaya bavotela and kuyangijabulisa lokuthi we are not recycling the same people all over again. We're seeing bamfu labangazange sababe khona ku politiki lencamanya ukuthi ke batawuba ne contribution lenkulu la kule parliament yesitholuva. But I think the key thing lo ukuthi nyalo ngoba baqhamuka kule the 4 regions nabathamuka kule 4 regions bathamuka etinkundleni ngibekise nje kwalo thamuka nalekithi enkundleni yasemayowa lo yakhanzayo ukuthi probably kuyaba mcoka lo ukuthi kube ne relationship lenhle between lo make umhlonishwa nale MP yaleyo nkundla ngoba ngiyaemphasize sibaqhamuka etinkundleni uma ke le bakade balibhalisele ukhetho boma ke laba participated vele kuma elections bavotelwa mhlambe bakhala phansi etigabeni letitside but ke nyalo ngoba sekuyasetshenzwa angabonakali iMP sikacabanga ukuthi lo make uyafuna kusika lesitulo.
LinkedIn athi amalunga eParliament nayawuvusela ingonyama ngaseyivala inkulumo yayo yathi ngifuna ukuthi niye le etinkhundleni lalo what you highlighting ngizabe ukuthi nile etinkhundleni lesive singakedi kini yengcenye go to the people nibeve ukuthi bathini. I think the spirit of collaboration is what this system nyalo is allowing ekuthenini if we have 2 city MPs na 2 emalunga eParliament la atawubambisana ukuthuthukisa leyo nkundla leyo and I think that's a really good
kufuna bambisane vele sifisi and in fact labo make nathi uyabuka angabekise njengaho uneti inkundla leting 15 lo make kungumsebenzi wakhe ukuthi akhe relationship nabo bonke labahlonishwa labang 15 abaqhamuka kuleti inkundla but ikakhulu kati ngifuna emphasize le point ukuthi abe ne relationship lenhle nalo mhlonishwa la naye ayikuyinkundla yakhe khona.
That's important.
Very important. Bangabonakali sebangathi sebaqhutselene labantu abantu.
Yeah, Mbeleni, I do remember ukuthi you highlighted that nasesibayeni, I think Katso uvela lapha embili. But LinkedIn, here's another interesting one. They will be taking their oath of allegiance. Lomuhla, I think that's set for 2:30 p.m. and I think after that we can officially say sesiyabona eminyakeni lotako nase ivulwa ke iParliament ngalokusemthethweni. I want us to continue to another developing story, and I think this mabomo ngasho ukuthi the most urgent issue facing intuthuko yakangwane lomuhle sitakhumbula ukuthi elangeni laitolo principal secretary walo tiko letempilo Khanya Mabuza addressed the health crisis subcommittee on the ongoing health crisis lapha even. Now the subcommittee says cabinet initiated exercise lena ekuthenini kuvakashele central medical stores warehouse in Matsapa just to get a feel of the prevailing situation so that it could take an informed decision basayisebenta lenzaba. But shocking discoveries were made and big recommendations were made by the subcommittee chair Mangoba Khumalo. LinkedIn, first and foremost, I want to hear your sentiment enzabeni kwekuthi kube na subcommittee lekuthiwe nje ayihambe iyawubuka na insaya lenkulu lengathi uthi you're also passionate about. I think I saw you na avakasha DPM lapha nalolunga nayo indvuna yetempilo kuyawubuka nje ukuthi vele la sibhedlela simo sikanjani. But now we have a subcommittee dedicated to solving this situation. What's first and foremost your sentiment kubo nje kuthenini umsebenzi wabo basengawuqala kubusebenza ukuthi basabuka lama ambitions, the aspirations about highlighting litolo through their chairperson Mangoba Khumalo? How do they go about that?
Ngicabanga ukuthi asithi sinyathelo lesipositive from government sisolo ukuthi mhlambe alibekele le committee le taba responsible nje kubuka le crisis le, because kusimo lesibhlungu kubhlungu kakhulu lokwenteka. But nje I have a feeling ukuthi probably ngoba dindvuna leti nato tiluse ematiko ato lekufune nakhona kube nankwe, probably one would have thought ukuthi maybe bekuyawulandwa mhlambe bantu mhlambe labanye laba private sector for instance mhlambe ba tindvuna ke ethi mhlambe le committee bese linga reporter kule schedule setindvuna tembuso. One would have thought mhlambe kuyahamba kanje, but we are not saying lesinyathelo lesa serious positive because this is it's a crisis njoba ngonyama yaveta leyo ukuthi konke kutehlakala. We do believe leyo ukuthi ngoba ikhona nale phenyo leliqhubeka kosifiso leyo ukuthi mhlambe konke kuyagcine kuphumela ebaleni. Asengilokubekisela ukuthi lesimo sidaya kangakanani. Le budget ya Ministry of Health ngaminyaka lophele last lophele 31 March.
Right.
Yeah. Bebadi phakela 2.42 billion. Nasicala 1st April 2023 baphakela 2.76 billion. Nga 2022 imali yahamba uhulumende la yisebenzisa yawuthenga nje ema drugs alone. It was 1 billion. Isuka ku 690 million yenyuka yafika ku 1 billion. Uyafika auditor general uyahlola lapha ka CMC. Ukhanza ukuthi kunesitoko lesilinganisela ku 18 million. Le just outdated. Lesho sekufuna nje basithathe bashisa.
Expired.
It's expired.
Yeah.
Very painful.
Yeah.
Ukhanza nene ukuthi into le yenteka lapha eCMC kuodwa ema drugs la ngathingeke. Shows nje indlela lo munye umuntu bengafika asayi kuspinwa le mali.
Yeah, yeah.
Kuodwa ema drugs la ngathingeki waphinzwa watfola kusinga 2022 last bedla lamba bani. Stoko lesilinganiselwa ku 18 million nakhona.
Right.
Was unaccounted for. So the problem lenkulu kungaze ukuyifuna kutenda sa syndicate.
Right.
But we do hope ukuthi indvuna titakhona lokuthi kusebente lesimo sibi sifisa. Na ungasuka mina ke ngithwele thuba lekuhamba ngene lamawadini. It is very painful what is going on.
Yeah, no, it's quite sad. And I think we did see some of those visuals from the day when the Deputy Prime Minister went and visited Lapa Esbedlela. Aveta nje some of the patients. Yes, we did see in Vona, which for me was quite pleasing. Ikulumanato, Lama patients. You could see the emotional, stress that Lama patients are now. And hopefully this thing, it'll fix. LinkedIn, you're highlighting in Zabe Mapilis Lashisiwe, Lalingansalak 18 million. I think Mbanengo Senza Ngakona lo submitted Spain. Avetinza ukuthi empeleni nakushiswa amaphilisi kushiswa le mali ngilo 18 million lo shiswa lapha empeleni. But what we are discovering is that CMS owes 33 million to 12 suppliers, and I think How mind-boggling is that, LinkedIn? 33 million is being owed to suppliers. These are some of the discoveries that were made as Eswatini Laitolo. But recommendations were also made. I think yes, we can look at the problem. Let's talk about the problem, but it helps us find the solution. But what are the recommendations, the SAGLA solution? Chairperson of the subcommittee, Mangoba Kumalo, since my cameras, I think like wins about Lemqwa kakhulu ekutheni leti moto leti kufutha la maphilisi kufuna kube nema camera. Utawusita basa audit basabuka nale paper trail ukuthi la maphilisi nabawasusa abantu bawamix ehlathi khulu. Ngemambala afika angiwo yini lokuthi angiwo yini la latsingekile kusombulula lokugula lokukhona. How do you think?
I think my recommendation from where we are, unfortunately for us, we've got to accept le mitamo le new government ifune simukele le mitamo le baqhamuka naye ukuthi besiqinisa njani le security nalendlela yokusuka kwala maphilisi mhlambe CMC ayelela kadzingeke khona endlela. But ngicabanga it's a procurement issue.
Right.
It's a procurement issue yokuthi le mithetho iyalandzelwa yini yala ka procurement.
Shelf life nabo priority medicines lokufuna kubuketwe LinkedIn.
Kune WHO wakubeka lo ukuthi kuna 18 months. Lokufune lo muntu nansi ukuthenga sathi usutafika umhlala 18 months. Utabe solulungele kuniketwa emaswati. Kubhlunge nangabe sekutahamba ekuthathwe 18 million ahambe ayoshisa. And again sisinkansile kunye mni accountability lemcoka la. Ukuthi yes sifikile silila kule problem le mhlambe asiqiniseni la siqiniseni la but ke bobana labasifikise la ngoba akusibo phela ukuthi bamvula ba lenye island bakhona balanga khasi we just hope ukuthi le forensic audit leqhubekako itagcine ibatfolile labantu la bobabula magunjana ladla la mabhokisi ukuthi people must be accountable. Ngabekusela mina ngaba nenhlanhla lempi sikhona sitobo sami lebesigula sikuleni facility lokhanza ukuthi bokuzingaka ukuthi uhambe uye private uyothenga liphilisi lifuna ukuthi ube na 1.5 ngeliviki ukuze uthenge liphilisi ala kule utomniketa la wadi. So simo lesikhona lekusengalo ukuthi ke December usitindi United akhona ukuthi kusebele but nje I'm simply saying asibathole phela labantu abagangile ngoba I forensic report nje ya general light fule parliament la ngamaji yakuveta lo ukuthi nathi lethi khebesi the gaps are here njengoba sisho ukuthi sifika kanjani ukuthi sitoko lesibita 8 million yabekisa accounted for.
And I think you're highlighting something that is very key lapho LinkedIn ngoba kusikhombisa nasisithombe I think benkhonto lo LinkedIn na chairperson athola le address from PS. And nangithi shocking discoveries nang introduce le story inzaba ukuthi kuvela inzaba 85,000 LinkedIn. Inzaba ya 85,000 ithinza inzaba yema shortage of drugs in the country kuthi kube na unavailability ya 85,000 kwi amount lekhona it is required for a CMS ekuthenini le service yabo noma ba renew a license for a fleet management system yabo le CCTV camera lela noma lama tracking devices la kuleti moto bekafuna 85,000 ukuthi a renewal a license
and government doesn't have that kind of money.
Kungathi kube info yamabomb kungako sithi this has been a shocking discovery but also I think the recommendation that was made and I saw ukuthi even the segment that was chosen from his submission lefakuna senzabeni was lenzabe ukuthi lama camera kufuna ku renewal a license kube info elungiswa masinyana.
So lo 85,000 qinisele sibeka khona bangatholakala ngabekisa mina ngakhuluma inzabe ukuthi baye basinakute kwenzaba emaphakele eParliament so hayi le mali lena isathu beka ku 60 le mali isuke ikhona uqinisile nje na ukuthi into yangamabomu uyakhanza ukuthi inkinga lenye lefika ibe khona lo yokuthi kuba ne conflict of interest la kulento le ukhanza ukuthi encenye lo muntu ekufuna asebenze lenzaba akayisebenzi nje ngoba une interest mhlambe nayo yakho inkampani lesebenza into letifana le but nje ngiko ngithi mina people must be accountable akutholakale bonke labantu labasifikise la kule nkinga lena ngoba na ungasebenzi ungendile lokufuna ukwenda esifisi bowathi ukuthi kunebantu abaningi lokubathinzako la angafike emaphilisi ngokubekisela lenye nje into lesebaleni la angafike emaphilisi emkhuzweni health sector affecte the northern hoho part shothi abakhona ukufinyelela emthola abatholi isito letembile ngoba bona ba relaya esibhedlela sasemkhuzweni.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Minister was visibly shocked. Nagabuta could say, telling me that we didn't have 85,000 emalangeni after, you know, one of the members highlighted kutsi kungatsikwa shorter with my funds at certain gubebete. But I think we've highlighted that one. But there were 5 demands that were presented. You know, government requested a copy of the tender certificate or approval to supply the medical goods to the Ministry of Health, amounting to, there's a lot of money. This is, yeah, but millions and millions of emalangeni. But also government requested for purchase orders for the medical goods, and I think it also, you know, stems in zabeni where good solid procurement. Kufuna kulungiswe yona.
Sebenala systems. Because we can change the heads.
Yeah.
Inhloko yakho isuke kule indzawo kuthathwe yami ibeke lapha. But nangabe le system kude le problem ngeke sizesisuke kuyo. And nangabe phinze we must not be justice must seem to be done.
Yeah, yeah.
La kube sifuna ngoba lenye insaya hulumende lasanayo uthi yebo sive siyamethemba uhulumende. Ngoba uniketwe insaya ukuthi akube ngikwe but uze sivele simthembe kakhulu. Akubonakala phela leli phenyo lifike emaphethelweni sathi nje ukuthi ho kulendzaba lena itekiwe yaphela la nabe khwale kufanele babanjwe. Khwalo in submission yachama esibahendwe ukuthi mhlambe asale kwakhiwa kwakhiwe nje prison yabo bonke labo babuli so babanje babuli bafake lapha because siyikhuluma sifisa ukuthi nalo senda nak but nabe kungabonakali ukuthi naba lalabagangile and
accountability. Yeah. No, I think sasi ibuke lapho. LinkedIn is fresh off Dubai. I mean the United Arab Emirates. Bekahambe ngemsebenzi lomkhulu we COP28 kusiniketa nje ama reports ekuthenini njengoba nandivuna ngikhulu welive Prime Minister Russell Miso Dlamini bekaya lapha kuyomelela silo semhlaba ingwenyama khona. Kuya umsebenzi lomkhulu LinkedIn lona ngoba ngibonile nakabuya Prime Minister uthi nzabeke ukuthi it is time that governments took the necessary action in addressing energy inefficiencies through tripling renewable energy measures and doubling energy efficiency by 2030. Live Kangwane has made commitments regarding that. Here are some of the visuals from the ongoing COP28. LinkedIn, it's a 2-week initiative. It's entering day 7. A lot of topics are still being discussed. Just give us an overview, sentiment of what you gathered. What can it adopt? You know, you also heard the Prime Minister's speech in full view. High-level meetings labeka qhubeka ubuya usiphathelene
ngumhlangano lomkhulu siso lubanjwa nje vele annually ngiyakhumbula nje ukuthi the next meeting itabe istage eBrazil UAE iqhamukene proposal le ukuthi yes triplishwe lama efforts ekusebenziswa ema renewable energy sources. EU president we EU commission von der Leyen waveta sithombele sithi kushiphile ukusebenzisa for instance isolar phinze kuvuleka nemisebenzi leminingi but here is the problem for me le speech nje sengosi leyathulwa ngu Prime Minister ingosi beyiveta lo ukuthi kubhlungu lo ukuthi kusuka icoal la Africa ihambe iye ngeshare kulabo sondozima bese labo sondozima bementsabeni bathi akungasetshenziswe malahle kuphehla gesi ngoba nyuku bethu imvelo yethi bona balanza tons and tons of millions we coal eAfrica. I think enalapha kule mihlangano unakalo ukuthi iconcern yami nje lengibanayo bameqala abakhuluma nginalaba sifakela kule nkinga le bakhuluma emva kwalo basuke bahambe kusina sector labase Africa abasekho labantu lekungibona because Africa so nas contributor kakhulu nqes contributor 2% kule problem lena iqhamuka le west nakulamanye amavela amakhulu lamhlabeni unfortunately mincane imetamo lebayendako kuze ukuthi mhlambe basite nalamavela wala lasathuthuka kuthenini akhone mhlambe kumitigate lama effects ale climate change lenza manje lo iteka ko energy. President William Ruto Kenya wavetela ukuthi Africa is committed ukuthi isebenzise indlela letikita gas longanyuku bethu imvelo. Unfortunately for Africa itela ama resources and the technologies latsingekako rely ku west probably ukuthi babafande kaseke sekufakwa nesikhwama lesita siwa damage and losses what lesita usita lama unfortunately access kuleti tiningi letikhwama sifisi le access kude angibekise live le Seychelles wakhala prime minister Seychelles wathi Seychelles inabantu laba almost 300,000 population yakhona
yeah
irenkwa ukuthi first world country
yeah
ukhala ngeke ukuthi le climate change ide ukuthi wena first world country wena uyini nanabo abavunyelwe to tap into the funding bakhone ukuthi mhlambe basite labangasita khona.
Yeah, and we are seeing the visuals of our Prime Minister, Russell Dlamini Lobega Melele Silo Semhlaba. And LinkedIn, what I like to what you're saying is we are meeting at least 2% of the global emissions. What the Prime Minister said there for me, which was a takeaway, I want to quote this excerpt. He urged my countries, Gutsi, the countries that have led the way in development and emitting should also lead the way in mitigating the effects of climate change. And I think that also, speaks to what Ruto has said as well. But the access is what is most important. But I want us to bring it home, LinkedIn, Inzaba, Gutsi, yes, we are bearing the brunt now. We can't run away from that. They have emitted all these emissions. This year, for the first time ever, has experienced the hottest weather conditions and the least rain patterns and nyalo sibukana nabo El Nino laba forecasted, which is quite bad for live lethu nasithi silive leline backbone agriculture that depend ku 80% rains ku agriculture production linked. But I think the efforts that Eswatini is making kubambisana netinini deliver the European Union, we had the EU ambassador to the EU ambassador to Eswatini, Desislava Shumelova lebanayo nabo umsebenzi lomkhulu just recently labo ubukete donatin zabate renewable energy sources. I think livela kangwane kufuna nyalo salo liqinisa ekuthenini sendansine kangwane.
Wakuveta Prime Minister le ukuthi iyanakwa inzaba yekusebenzisa mhlambe bosomabhizinisi labadimele le independent power producers ukuthi bamkhiqithele ugesi tawungena main grid sikhona mhlambe ukuthi simsebenzisa. Unfortunately, we need about 300 and something million ku-strengthen i-project yokusebenzisa ama-renewables.
I'll tell you what, we'll get that money because the 12th Parliament vele isuke emagonso lathi LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for providing your insights. Ngibonela omuhle sasifike emaphethelweni asibona nekusasa nisale kahle.